In a world that prizes emotional transparency and communication, there remains one glaring paradox that frustrates countless men. Women often say the opposite of what they mean. This contradiction isn't random. It has deep roots in psychology, biology, social conditioning, and even survival strategy. Men hear, "I'm fine," and believe it. But beneath those words lies a storm of unmet emotional needs and coded pleas for attention, validation, or change. Philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer, in his famously brutal honesty, pointed to this contradiction as a fundamental trait of female nature, one that modern men still fail to decode. Schopenhauer was no diplomat when it came to his opinions on women. He viewed them as creatures of instinct more than logic, of impulse rather than reason. While many have dismissed his views as misogynistic, the truth is more complex. Strip away the bitterness, and you're left with insights that resonate with clinical psychology today. He observed that women communicate indirectly, not because they are deceptive, but because their psychological makeup prioritizes emotional harmony over factual accuracy. This is not manipulation in the malicious sense. It is emotional survival. Carl Jung, centuries later, would expand on this. He introduced the concepts of the Anima and Animus, the feminine and masculine archetypes within the unconscious. According to Jung, women are more in tune with the emotional and symbolic world, which makes their language metaphorical rather than literal. When a woman says, "Do whatever you want," she may not be granting permission. She may be testing loyalty. When she says, "I don't care," she might be suppressing hurt. To men, this sounds confusing, but to her psyche, it is emotionally precise. This emotional symbolism is not a flaw. It is a language. It is a language crafted through millennia of social navigation, threat avoidance, and emotional survival. Women evolved to be the social glue of communities, the emotional interpreters of nonverbal cues. In societies where direct confrontation could result in isolation or danger, emotional subtlety became power. Tension wasn't diffused with raw honesty, but with careful suggestion, tonal ambiguity, and emotional nuance. This is the bedrock of feminine communication. Modern men, especially those raised on logical, task-oriented interaction, find this maddening. They want straight lines, clear requests, direct meanings, but female language, especially in emotionally charged conversations, is rarely direct. It's a map of emotional needs that men must learn to read. Without this skill, men misinterpret silence as peace, indifference as acceptance, and sarcasm as humor. The result? Emotional chaos and relational detachment. Let's return to Schopenhauer. In his essay On Women, he claimed that women's minds are ruled more by instinct than rationality. While this might sound harsh, it overlaps with Jung's theory of the unconscious, where instinct and symbol drive much of our behavior. Schopenhauer wasn't saying women are illogical in a pejorative sense. He was saying they operate from a domain men rarely understand. He recognized that women express needs, pain, and desire through indirect means. To label this as dishonesty is to misunderstand the emotional function of their speech. Here's the hard truth. When women say one thing and mean another, they are not necessarily lying. They are filtering their emotional state through a socially conditioned lens. They have learned from a young age that directness can lead to punishment, being called too much, too needy, or crazy. So they speak in riddles. They disguise vulnerability as sarcasm. They test boundaries through reverse speech. They encode truth in performance. Jung would say that a man projects his rationality onto her and expects her to comply. But what she offers is mystery, symbol, instinct. The man who insists on logic over intuition will fail in love, not because he lacks intelligence, but because he lacks emotional fluency. To understand a woman's words, you must understand her wound. Her silence may be full of screams. Her "I'm fine" may echo with abandonment. Her "nothing's wrong" may mean everything's on fire. Many men misread female communication because they take it at face value. This is the first mistake. Women often speak from the right brain, emotive, intuitive, abstract, while men tend to interpret from the left brain, logical, direct, linear. This mismatch creates constant confusion. He thinks, she said she doesn't care if I go out with the boys, so he does. Later, he returns to an ice-cold room and emotional distance. He's confused. She said it was okay. But he missed the symbolism, the test, the indirect protest. This is why relationships collapse, not because of malice, but because of misinterpretation. The male mind needs to grasp the symbolic nature of female communication. He must learn that yes can mean maybe, and no can mean try harder. He must decode tone, body language, and context. This is not a game. This is the terrain of the feminine psyche, a realm where what is said is less important than what is felt, where the words are the veil, not the truth. To survive and thrive in love, a man must upgrade his understanding. He must unlearn the masculine assumption that speech always equals literal intent. He must enter the symbolic world of the feminine and learn to read what is not said. He must learn to listen with his whole body, with his intuition, his observation, his patience. Every sigh, every glance, every hesitation holds more data than the spoken word. In the feminine realm, feeling is truth, and words are merely its reflection. This doesn't mean accepting all ambiguity or playing games. It means developing emotional intelligence, the ability to hold space for contradiction without immediately demanding clarity, the discipline to observe without reacting, the wisdom to respond to what's beneath the surface. This is not weakness. It is strategic compassion. It is masculine containment applied to emotional mystery. Only then can trust grow. Only then can a woman feel seen, not just heard, felt not just understood. And here lies the essence of modern masculine maturity, the ability to interpret the hidden river beneath the calm surface. The emotional warrior is not reactive, he is observant. He doesn't get defensive when things are unclear. He becomes curious. When a woman withdraws, he doesn't chase her blindly or demand answers. He softens into awareness. He tracks the pulse of the moment. He becomes a mirror, not a hammer. She feels this containment, this depth of presence, and she relaxes into authenticity. If a man truly listens, he will notice patterns. He will see that her contradictions are not chaos. They are maps, maps of longing, maps of trauma, maps of hope. These inconsistencies do not mean she is playing with his mind. They mean she is trying to reconcile her own. She is testing if it is safe to be real. She is asking without words, can you see me even when I can't see myself? This is why Schopenhauer, despite his pessimism, stumbled upon a timeless truth. Female speech is not designed for clarity. It is designed for intimacy. The contradictions are not barriers. They are invitations. Invitations into her complexity, her subconscious, her emotional world. The moment a man rejects this language, he rejects her. The moment he leans in and learns it, he evolves. Jung understood this at a soul level. He believed that the unconscious feminine within every man, the anima, held the key to his full development. By learning to relate to the mystery within, a man becomes capable of relating to the mystery without. He stops demanding predictability from women. He stops labeling them as crazy or illogical. He starts seeing their emotional logic, a logic of intuition, sensitivity, and relational nuance. The tragedy of modern relationships is that so few men have been trained in this fluency. Boys are taught to achieve, to dominate, to fix. They are rarely taught to attune. They are praised for solving problems, but shamed for being emotionally perceptive. So they grow up illiterate in the feminine language of emotion. And when a woman speaks through metaphor or mood, they shut down, lash out, or walk away. But the man who stays, emotionally present, non-reactive, deeply attuned, he becomes her sanctuary. He becomes the exception, the one who can listen between the lines, the one who doesn't take words at face value but reads them as poetry, as code, as pulse. He is not confused by her contradiction. He is intrigued. He does not demand simplicity. He earns her trust through complexity. He sees her not as a puzzle to solve, but as a soul to hold. And in doing so, he becomes more than a partner. He becomes a mirror to her unconscious, a translator of her silence, a safe place for her vulnerability to unfold. She is not asking him to become feminine. She is asking him to become fluent. She is not testing his patience to destroy his pride. She is testing his capacity to love without needing certainty. Because to truly love a woman is to meet her where she is emotionally, not where logic says she should be. He must listen with his presence, not just his ears. He must respond with his emotional discipline, not his ego. He must hold the contradiction with quiet power, not frustration. The woman who seems difficult is often the one carrying generations of suppressed emotion. Her words are encrypted with centuries of ancestral memory: fear, desire, silence, powerlessness. To understand her speech is to step into that legacy, and to love her is to offer healing without domination. That is the invitation. That is the challenge. That is the sacred dance Schopenhauer hinted at and Jung defined. And this dance is not performed once. It is continuous. Because the feminine psyche is not a linear narrative. It is a spiral, a current, a rhythm of revelations and retreats. A woman will speak in circles not to confuse, but to return to the same wound with new awareness. Each contradiction is a checkpoint in her healing. Each emotional paradox is a doorway to a part of herself she's not yet sure you're safe enough to meet. If you flinch, she will retreat. If you listen, she will reveal.